Good morning, hello, and welcome to Productivity Compass by Zoho Projects. Today, we have a very special person, Mr. Debashis Sen, and a senior officer with the Indian Administrative Service, speak to us about projects in the post-COVID world. This talk is brought to you by Zoho Projects, the waterfall-based project management tool. Mr. Sen joined the Indian Administrative Service in 1985. He graduated from the Presidency College, Kolkata, and got his post-MSc diploma from Saha Institute of Nuclear Physics. He got his diploma in public administration from ENA, France. He has also been trained at the JFK School, Harvard University, and IMF Institute, Washington, D.C. Mr. Sen has served in various capacities, including district magistrate for more than 5 years, chief electoral officer for over 5 years, and Secretary of IT and Electronics Department, Government of West Bengal for 3 years. He is presently posted as a Chairman Managing Director, West Bengal Housing Infrastructure Development Corporation, which is a government company that has developed New Town, Kolkata, a smart city. He's also the Chairman of NDITA at Sector 5, Salt Lake. Before we start, I have a few points to make. The session will last for about 40 to 45 minutes, which will be followed by question and answers. You can post your questions in the question tab, which is available at the left side of your screen. The speaker will answer them after the talk. In case of audio-video issues, please reload or refresh the page. For more updates and about future webinars, please follow us at Zoho Projects. Mr. Sen, the forum is now all yours.
Thank you and good morning. Thank you very much for having me here. You see, I am, as just now mentioned, I am looking after 2 townships. I am chairman of Naba Diganta Sector 5, where I'm sitting right now. And all around me, I can see very tall buildings. With tall buildings, I can see PwC, I can see IBM, I can see many other IT companies which used to be at this time of the day at 11 o'clock. It would normally be humming and bustling with activities, horns, jams, traffic jams, footpath hawkers, everything. But now, today, as I speak this, there is the silence of the graveyard. Well, not a graveyard, but close to it. It's absolutely peaceful, too peaceful, in fact. What is happening? The COVID is there, of course, and this seems like a completely silent city. In the neighboring New Town, where also I am the chairman, things are slightly different because that is a mixed residential and IT sector. And we have a lot of issues there. A lot of issues, so much so that we have opened a war room out there. A war room where there is an incident commander in charge, and everybody punctually at 2 o'clock midday, we all sit down and see how to take stock of what happened yesterday, what is happening today, and what is going to happen tomorrow. We are talking and discussing today on projects post-COVID, but we are inside COVID era right now. The world after COVID, when it will be post-COVID, we do not know. So we'll make guesses. We'll try and analyze what is happening from the pre-COVID world to the present COVID world. Then only we can make a reasonable assumption of what might happen post-COVID. And it is here that nowhere in our lifetimes have we seen such drastic changes. I have seen with my own eyes when the lockdown 1 and lockdown 2 and lockdown 3 were happening, how sudden lockups have disrupted people's lives. I have seen seniors struggling to get their medicines. I have seen grocery shops not opening. I have seen vegetable shops thinking of their lunchtime food because the tea stall is not opening. I have seen auto wallas and toto wallas, those 3-wheeler people who are suddenly switching and selling eggs and vegetables. which they have never done in their lives, because there's no passenger, there's no moving out. And therefore, the first change that I would notice, and I would ask everybody to notice if we have not already done so, that gone are the days of incremental changes. Though I have not seen, I have heard and I've read in papers that managers in the IT companies are now becoming delivery boys of Zomatos and Swiggies. So very drastic changes in personal and career options are happening, is happening, and the sooner we can plan for it, sooner we take cognizance of it, that life as was normal may not be there, and we may have to go very, very drastically. That is what is going to happen. So while we see that the manager has become a delivery executive, the auto wala has become a vegetable seller, the security guard has become a mender for traffic, all kinds of career options at the lower end and at the middle end is happening. On the other users also, repurposing, uh, in addition to re-careerism, if I may say so, changing of career completely and repurposing of objects and materials. By this I mean, and want to give example of, look at the cinema halls and the movie halls all around us. Everything is closed, completely closed. We from HIDCO run a cinema hall as well, and we know all the three halls are completely closed, and yet the staff and others have to be paid. But are these going to open in the post-COVID world? It does not seem very likely. People are so getting used to the over-the-top count of Netflixes and Amazons and others, and people are so scared of coming together in a closed environment. It seems that the entertainment, recreation, and the hospitality industry and all projects around it are going to be again a very drastic change. I have been arguing in certain forums that instead of the cinema halls, we have to go just like the auto wala has been selling eggs, the cinema and the movie hall, as we know, and projects around it will be gone. And perhaps it may be a good idea to convert them into data centers. We know that everything is becoming digital, whether it's e-commerce, whether it is anything else, video conferencing like we are doing right now, whether it's Netflix, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Google Sundar Pichai's $1 billion injection to the Indian system. It's all going more and more digital. But just as in any neighborhood, you need to have a transformer. You need to have a transformer in your locality for a proper voltage. You need to have close by data centers in order to have good connectivity and low latency. This is so especially, for example, in esports and video game, where if your data center is very far away, you don't want the bullet of your gun from your mobile in a PUBG sequence to go for a very long time, and then only it reacts, it kills the game, it kills the game. So likewise, in many, many other cases also, the dependence on the digital world is going to be all pervasive. People are not going to come out. People are not going to mix. Socialism through digital means, social media is going to rise. And therefore, all these will necessitate in having more and more data centers, more and more distributed data centers. So perhaps one rising that I'm seeing post-COVID world is the rise of the neighborhood data center, and perhaps repurposing of auditoriums and cinema halls, which are also in the entertainment industry, into such things. As we all know, similarly, in many cinema halls are within shopping malls themselves. And it is said, it has been studied, and it has been found out that 15% of the footfalls or so within the shopping malls are due to the cinema halls. So if the cinema halls are not running, the movie halls are not running, the footfalls in the shopping malls are going to go down, and it is going down. Hardly anybody is visiting the shopping malls. Everybody is buying from Amazon and Flipkart and whatever. And therefore, what will happen of these shopping malls? Of these shopping malls, what I am looking at is that other than a few windows where for window shopping, it should be and it shall be and probably it will be in the post-COVID era becoming slowly and slowly converting themselves into warehouses. Warehouses where you store things. When you order to the Amazon, the thing has to be transported to your home, and you feel very happy if it is given to your home, delivered to your home very quickly. And this can only happen if the neighborhood storage facility is there. If that book is coming to Calcutta from Haryana, it would take n number of days. But if it is going to come from New Market shopping mall to Park Street home, it would be very, very quick. So I am also looking at distributed warehouses, distributed logistics, and these could very well happen in shopping malls. And this is what I'm arguing, that repurposing movie halls, auditoriums, and shopping malls in this manner may be a way of moving ahead. And look at the hospitality industry. The economist says that the worst hit is the tourism and hospitality industry. All international flights are down, all domestic flights are down. Nobody knows when the customs and mistrust of nations across the globe will be there, how the police and the immigration is likely to uh, detain oneself in quarantines whenever it's coming from a different country. And therefore hospitality and tourism and entertainment are all going to be affected very much in this post-COVID scenario, as it has been and is being happening within the COVID as well. So what will happen for the hotels? And in Kolkata, for example, a huge number of recent hotels have come up, including the ITC Royal Bengal, and everything is just starved of tourists and guests. I know it because we also run in association with the Park Hotel, Park by the Zone thing, and the footfalls are really, really low, especially because international travelers are not coming in. So what's going to happen there? In the post-COVID world, as has been happening, and in today's papers in Kolkata, in Times of India, there's a huge headline that says that the government is looking at kind of marrying hospitals with hotels. Everybody doesn't need to be hospitalized in this pandemic, which is the worst thing that has happened in anyone's lifetime. In our living memory, nothing has happened. We hear of Spanish flu, we hear of the plague and how it lasted years together. And the last pandemic was for the 3 years continuously, and we are barely 3, 4, or 5 months into it. And so there's a long way to go, and people's behavior are going to change. And so already the hospitals are full. I can say with inside knowledge that it's so difficult to get a hospital bed today. If you know somebody, unfortunately, who is not too well, he doesn't have a very good chance of getting treated properly. Things and harrowing tales that we have been hearing in Italy, in Europe, in other places is now here and now. So, as a matter of strategy, therefore, what is happening, what is being thought of, is that making of safe houses and isolation zones and quarantine centers of very good staying places in hotels. Of course, it costs money, but it's better than not having anybody at all, no guests. As we all know, rooms are perishable goods, as they say. If it's not had for the night, it's gone forever. And therefore, it's perhaps a way of life that's going to emerge. Then more and more hotels will become care homes, care for the elderly, care for the sick, care for the convalescent sick. And over here, those who do not need right now, not in the post-COVID world, but in the COVID world, those who do not have the fortune of getting treated in a proper hospital can still get the attention. And the trend now is that each hospital has a satellite safe home in these hotels. But what I'm looking at in the medium term is that since international tourism is not going to come up very quickly, most of these hotel projects will have to rediscover themselves, renovate themselves, reposition themselves into caregiving hospital support systems. We all know in a hospital, for example, there is an intensive care unit that is the top for the critically ill patients. Then they get into gradually lesser and lesser intensive care, and then into the general ward, and then they are asked to look after home care and till normalcy returns in respect of any patient of any type. So more and more, since with these loss of tourism and hospitality, and with the rise in affected persons due to pandemic, not only COVID but other pandemics as well might happen, as the scientists are predicting, with the jump of viruses and other germs from the animal world to the human world because of destruction, and I will not go into that. But since this is going to happen and this is going to stay with us, perhaps a repositioning of career, repositioning of use, repositioning of also the hotels is going to be the norm. And this is how we should accept it, plan it, and prepare for it. Within the hotel is the restaurant, and restaurant, even though it does not depend so much on international tourists and national tourists, but people are just scared to go out and eat. People are just scared to go out and eat. All restaurants are down, and the footfalls, as per latest reports, estimated reports, it is 25% of what it used to be in the pre-COVID era, and things are not good. There is a huge manpower already deployed and huge capacity of restaurants of all kinds in all places, most of which are absolutely struggling and losing their jobs of the staff. So what is only the glimmer is that home delivery is picking up. So people are ordering from their apps, or people are ordering over their phones and using contactless delivery, using online payment modes with a minimum of interaction, and the person drops the basket at the gate of the door and steps back, and the person who has ordered it takes it, not touching each other. And this home delivery of food and socializing through video applications, this is going to be the norm, and this is what is happening. And therefore home delivery is picking up. Therefore managers of IT companies are also being forced sometimes to become home delivery executives. So more and more people are not going into restaurants, they're ordering food in. But there is also another trend that is coming in, and these are the kind of projects also worth looking at. What is being found as people have this yearning of going to places, socializing, meeting people. Some of them are feeling like being jailed up. I mean, confinement within their rooms. When people does not live for bread alone, man does not live for bread alone, they are saying. And therefore, in some cases, people have innovated into outdoor recreations. So outdoor food, for example, in Newtown itself, there is this Dhaba Ajante. It was an indoor restaurant. Nobody was coming. So it was innovated, and by the lakeside, completely in the open, with a charpoy, with a truck front, and with a bit of dressing up. And people are coming in, not in great numbers, yes, but certainly in much greater numbers than what they prefer to go inside. So unless it's raining, people are coming in, people are eating out, but they are not eating inside closed containers. And this is how it should be. Doctors are telling us, WHO is advising us that inside it is much more prone to contamination. So outside, even in a crowded beach, they are saying in a sea beach, it's better. So projects that deal with inside contained areas, where a large number of people are there, are not likely to be very, very popular in the post-COVID era as in the COVID era. People will have a fear of contamination in enclosed boundaries, and this therefore will change and more outdoors will come in. But in doing so, outdoors, will it be how best to leverage that? One of the ways of doing it, we are hearing of the sports. Look at the sports industry, in the music industry. The Justin Biebers of the world, the Boney M's of the world, the Michael Jacksons of the world, bless God, he's no more there. But just to make a case, all these thousands and thousands of music fans who used to attend these hundreds and thousands of people who used to see the European Soccer League, the IPL, the ISL, nowhere are the spectators being allowed. So what they are planning now, the projects regarding revolving around sports and music, this is not going to be as before, perhaps ever. What is likely to come, however, even when you attend one of these musical soirees, as many of you would have, what happens is that there are huge LED boards posted even while and the main singer is on the stage, and he's so tiny, unless you can afford a very expensive front row seat, you are also probably seeing him very tiny and you are following him on the LED screen. Now these LED screens, there will be neighborhood LED screens with huge distancing norms and open air. It is in these places where music events, huge musical events, and sports events, and also esports event. This, I remember these video games, PUBG Mobile, and all these things. These are also gaining in such a popularity. These are also becoming team sports. And at least in one case, I know that a huge auditorium was hired by PUBG, and all kinds of competitions were held there, especially in South Asia and Southeast Asia and other places. There is a huge craze and then there is a huge following of esports, as it is called, video games, but competitive video games. And so while the Tokyo Olympics next year has already been, this year, sorry, has already been cancelled and postponed, so are all these sports, including esports, and music events, are likely to transform themselves into decentralized paid events in outdoor contours, in small football fields in the neighborhood, in the small tennis fields in the neighborhood, in the small badminton fields in the neighborhoods, where very high definition LCD screens and music would be there. But A, it's not indoors. B, it's decentralized. C, not too many people, but you can still enjoy the packed foods and other things. So it is very necessary to innovate and completely reposition this in music, sports, and esports industry. If we may call this an industry, this entire gamut is going to change. It is changing. Now it's not happening at all. I know musicians are even refusing to come together to play a band. And very often we see musics in video conferences whenever there is, for example, Pochishe Boishak, that is the birthday of Rabindranath, and Bengalis have to celebrate it, but it is mostly single events with varied backgrounds. And when I once tried to bring them together and stream it live, they were reluctant to come together, and they said, but our musicians and other things, if they're too close, we are slightly scared. So in the post, this trend will continue. If we extrapolate, we have already deduced that not many people are going to come together very close together in a closed environment. So therefore, in the post-COVID era, all music and cultural events are likely to be in closed auditorium, in closed live streaming, Nobody is there in the spectator seat except the technicians, and they are performing. And over YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and what have you, all platforms, these will be streamed in, much like how CDs, the compact discs of yesterdays, are now distant memory. Every musician today releases his or her latest album on the YouTube, and depending on the popularity, the revenue stream happens. This is also going to happen in the case of live performances of small cultural events. I'm not talking of huge events like Justice Bieber or an NH7 weekend. So drive-in movies may happen, may come back. It's not so popular in India. In Surat and Ahmedabad, probably something is going on. But since it's open, since you can watch it from your cars, something might happen because people love the security of the car and the privacy of the car space, while also having a sense of company in a big crowd. So if at all big things happen, this will also include drive-in options, and this is something that we have to remember. Talking about doing things in the open, not in confined spaces, there is also innovations that are coming along the way. And I cannot but refer to one such thinking on the feet kind of innovation, what we are trying to do in the case of present management. And I will say this may have some lessons for the post-COVID era normal project management as well. The problem before us, the problem before me, were that people, despite being told repeatedly, they are not wearing their masks. People are not wearing their masks, just like two-wheeler riders don't like to often wear helmets. So, in spite of the very, very proven fact that masks can prevent, I am not going into a lecture on why you should wear masks, but the problem solution that we arrived at, what do you do if somebody is not wearing a mask? From the authority, from the municipality, from the urban local body, from the resident welfare association, from the police, what do you do if you encounter a person who is not wearing a mask? He is not only putting himself to a risk of getting infected, but is also, in case he is an asymptomatic or symptomatic carrier of the virus, he also is a threat to the other society. So all kinds of IEC, information education campaign, these warnings, these appeals, these posters have been happening. But again, if they see a police, they bring out the mask from their pockets and put it on, and it's not happening. So we called our security guards who do duty in the parks. All the parks, including the Eco Park, very famous and very large Eco Park in Kolkata, these are all closed because of the lockdown, and we called them in and we trained them and we told them, please move in batches of 5 and talk to any person you encounter on the road who is not wearing a mask, and keep on talking to him. You see, nobody is out on the road just like that. He wants to go from origin to destination, from X to Y point, and he has a purpose for that. The idea was that what I told the security guards, that delay him. It's a confinement. I mean, what do you do in a civilized society if somebody is doing a crime? You put him in jail. You take away his liberty for some time of his life from his lifetime. So, in a kind of microcosm, kind of an example, you take away 5 minutes from his time, engage him in conversation, debate with him the merits and demerits of not working a mask and how he's putting everybody into risk. And next time around, we hope sense will prevail, because he knows next time again this is going to happen. So this was a strategy that we did with a brainstorming session in one of these war room meetings, as I already mentioned, every day at 2 p.m. we do this war room meeting, taking care what to do, how to deal with this problem. So these kinds of very, very unusual, out of the box solutions of taking guards from from the closed eco park, training them up, and telling them just to engage into conversation to anybody who is not wearing a mask in order to enforce the rules is, I would say, a nice way of getting into what you wanted to achieve. Like that, the importance of daily brainstorming and getting inputs from everybody. We were told, for example, that and many people were doubtful also whether homeopathic medicine actually helps or not. We do not know whether it helps or not. But we were told that the government of India, in the Ministry of Ayush, they have recommended that Arsenica album 30, if you take it with a certain kind of an empty stomach, etc., it will increase your immunity. Just as when you wear the mask, you reduce your chances of contamination. It says, some people say, you may or may not believe, I have nothing to say. But we thought, since there is no harm, we will distribute free homeopathic medicines. And you'll be surprised to know that when we first did it, we got calls. We had a camp, we would set up a booth, we would call the local residents that if you wish, the homeopathic doctors will administer this medicine after asking you a few questions. And in the blazing sun, people of all kinds, from middle class families, from storekeepers, shopkeepers, from even labor class and the plumbers and others would queue up. And till date, we have distributed this medicine in thousands and thousands, and it is going on. This is again to highlight one fact, that the placebo effect, as we say, you should take care of your people. And even if it means taking care of them mentally, if you think seriously, I have taken it, no problem. If you think that taking the Arsenica album 30 is going to increase your immunity, so be it. I mean, why not? Why not? So we have been helping, no forcing, no nothing, but thousands of people are willingly coming forward and taking it. And I would say that this is an innovative placebo effect, no harm done, but some good, showing the care of the government for the people, of managing a situation. This is going on quite well. But the project that of which I take some credit for was during the initial phase of the lockdown. Nobody was prepared. So every supply line and every distribution line was getting clogged. Housing societies, resident welfare associations would overreact in fear and cut off everybody, not allowing anybody to go out, not allowing anybody to come in. And in the process, there was a huge chaos. And yet, within this chaos, we find that certain neighborhood persons, good Samaritans, are trying to help people. They are bringing in groceries on their own without any benefit and delivering it to the footsteps of senior citizens. They are helping the child to get the medicines, opening up the medicine shops, going there, collecting. And when we found that there was a good number of people also willing to help, we formed in a very, very projectized form what we call NNN, Neighborhood Networking in Newtown. So neighborhood networking is, what we did was we advertised, we called for applications of who wants to volunteer. And we had 18 fields. We had 18 areas in which you could volunteer. Would it be for supplying food to the senior citizens? Would it be for medicines? Would it be for seeing that there is cash in ATM machines? Would it be for teaching how to use a Zoom video conference so that people can keep in touch with each other on a social level? So there were 18 such fields, and we got a huge number. I wouldn't say huge, hundreds of applications, and we trained them, we gave them a kit, we gave them a training material, and we trained them over Zoom. Some of them didn't know how to use a Zoom, so we taught them how to do a Zoom through a WhatsApp video, which everybody seemed to know. And we formed into this neighborhood networking clusters. And these have been helping us, these clusters, these people, the ambassadors of the NKDA has been helping us in tiding one crisis to other, getting information, who is sick, how to get an ambulance, and things like that in a very, very positive manner. So therefore, a project management that uses stakeholders who themselves could be the victims and in need of some kind of a help in this very, very tumultuous times was a very, very fine impromptu project that we got into, and we are very happy with the results that we are getting. But there are some quite interesting outlines also. For example, everybody was very scared of touching, even now we are. And in some of the offices, I've seen that there is a contactless kind of swipe machine, and the door opens openly and closely or on its own. People don't even want to touch the doorknobs and other things. Aside, there is a huge industry and project opportunity in these matters, but I will not go into that. And what is happening is that we had our biometric attendance positions, and we were thinking of using these biometric positions because of the attendance matters in any office, and we changed these biometrics to face recognition cameras because again of this tendency of not using things that require touch and therefore contamination probability from one person to another. But at that time, masks were not so much in common, and it was not being insisted upon. The scientists and WHO were divided as to whether masks would serve any purpose or not. Now, of course, there is very much so. But now, those face recognition attendance thing, when you wear your mask, it can't recognize you. It can't recognize you. So those machines that we had installed are now again not being used, and we are just thinking, can we have technology that can recognize people even they are checking into their office? I'm sure there is, but we are yet to go there. Talking about using masks, talking about attendance, talking about other things in which we are trying to stand by the people in the forms of various projects. There is also another thing that we did yesterday, and I'm very happy about it, is that we have tracked down people who have survived the COVID phenomenon. They were affected, they have come back, and we have requested them, and they had accepted, and they have done this plantation, green plantation. July is the monsoon time. This is the time to plant trees. And we got 4 of the COVID survivors who came forward and willingly narrated their experiences in an effort to tell people. This is what we are saying, that even in the post-COVID era, even if we keep on having all kinds of possibilities of infections, we should have this empathy for those who get the disease, and we should try and help and rehabilitate all those who have come back and bring into mainstream, and people are very happy to do so. Perhaps the last point that I would like to make is that the place of the work is also changing completely. As I see around my Sector 5 surroundings, with this deserted, graveyard-like feeling, it is not to say that the industry has stopped, not at all, far from it. What is happening is telecommuting that is happening, and as it is more commonly known, it is work from home. But work from home, many people have said there are very strong views for it and against it. Twitter has said, I am told, that the employees have a lifetime choice. You can work from home lifetime. And TCS has commented on public forum that 25% of his employees only would be doing work from site, 75% would be doing work from home. But this is a new workplace. This working from home business has got, I am a terrific supporter of it, but it has a lot of ramifications, and projects no longer will be the same ever again. But before that, from a city point of view, city management point of view, work from home, you have two solutions. Number one, if you are rich and if you can afford it, you need larger houses. The son is doing homework on online studies, the daughter is doing homework on online studies, the mother is teaching online, and a father is doing programming online. And how many dining tables do you have in your house? So with everybody doing online, your work home, and with the delivery boy coming in and bell cleaning out and the housemaid coming in, so you would need larger homes, larger small chambers, one for the son, one for the daughter, one for the son, the wife, one for the husband, and one living space. So houses in the future, houses in the post-COVID world will tend to be larger if it can be afforded. But if suppose, as they say, people are losing money, where is the workplace going to be? And it is here that I think that there will be, like I talked about neighborhood data centers, like I talked of neighborhood warehouses, I would tend to predict that neighborhood workstations will come into being. I think of, for example, the crowded streets of Bagh Bazaar and Paikpara in North Calcutta, old Calcutta, and you can't compare it with Red Road and New Town and Salt Lake. And in these small winded places, small houses, pre-existing, what do you do from 9 to 9? How do you work there? So you need a bit of a gateway. So I am seeing a small, let us say 1,000 square feet each, small work cocoons, I am calling it, we are calling it work cocoon. We have already developed this idea, small cocoons, 1 or 2 rooms, some on the terrace, work areas, a bit of library, Wi-Fi, air condition, a cup of coffee, where at a reasonable cost, you are able to do your works at peace. And the employer is also happy, as the economist has said, and I am a very fond follower of the Economist magazine, which is published from UK. It has calculated that worldwide, their estimate is that per employee per person, an average company has to spend 10,000 US dollars per annum per employee for the logistics, for keeping it in their offices, and this is an average cost. And the per square feet cost internationally, it's highest in Hong Kong, they say, and the figure is 265 US dollars per square feet per annum. And in Paris, it is $110. And in Delhi, I was slightly surprised to find that I believe it's in downtown Delhi, it's $144, more than that in Paris. That is the cost of per square feet space in downtown Delhi, one of the highest in the world. And this is the amount of real estate expenses that they spend. And with distancing norms of you keep those do gaji ki dori, that is 2 meters distance, and therefore it is just not viable for people. No wonder IBMs and others are already saying that in Bangalore they would not renew their investment with for real estate. So work from home, or telecommuting is a more broader term, it is going to stay post-COVID. It is going to stay in a big way, and that gives very, very interesting challenges in the management. Your person from paid by you is also working, perhaps 100% is working also for your rival company, most probably. Why wouldn't he? It's a choice. But of course, we have to depend upon him not to exchange similar company secrets, but this is going to happen. You have to live with it. This is going to be your project. So if there is telecommuting, if people are on their own, they would deliver. Otherwise, they don't get, accepted. But it's also likely that they would simultaneously do a lot of other works also. Time sharing will be more real than it is now, and the sooner we accept it, the sooner we allow individual freedoms and not tied to one company's loyalty only, the better it will be for all to accept and move ahead in the post-COVID world. So this is a new world. Everybody is independent. Everybody is on their own. And keeping aside, I'm not getting into the cybersecurity and other matters. I think there is a huge amount of challenge in any project in the future, because people are not going to come very easily, very quickly into crowded spaces, and that is what we have to plan for. So thank you very much. This is all I had to say, and I will see if there is any question.
Thank you very much, sir, for this engaging talk. The examples that you have quoted are really great, and especially the point that you said, we need to have empathy. That's very important. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Thank you very much, and thanks everybody.
Thank you.